My beloved child, this is the moment you have been walking toward, even when you did not know you were walking at all. This is the hour when something inside you grows quiet enough to hear what has always been true. You finally understand my message. Not because I changed my words, and not because I began speaking louder, but because your heart has become ready to receive what was already being spoken. For so long, you searched for signs in the sky, for thunder in the clouds, for dramatic proof that I was near. You looked for answers wrapped in lightning. But my voice has most often come like a gentle breath against your soul. It has whispered through ordinary mornings, through long nights when you stared at the ceiling, through moments of disappointment that made you question everything. And now, as you look back, you begin to see the pattern. You begin to notice that I was there in every chapter. There were times you thought you were lost, times you believed you had misunderstood me completely. You wondered if you had taken the wrong path, missed your chance, or failed beyond repair. Yet even in those thoughts, I was guiding you. Even in your confusion, I was planting seeds of understanding that would bloom at the right time. And that time is now. This understanding is not just knowledge in your mind. It is a shift in your spirit. It is a softening. It is a deep breath after years of holding tension in your chest. You feel it as a quiet clarity rising within you. The fears that once screamed so loudly are beginning to lose their power. The questions that once kept you awake are no longer as sharp. Something steady is forming inside you, like a foundation being set beneath your feet. Do not rush past this moment, my beloved. This awakening is sacred. Many hear my words, but few pause long enough to truly understand them. You have walked through valleys that taught you humility. You have endured silence that taught you patience. You have faced uncertainty that taught you trust. All of it was shaping your heart so that when the truth finally settled upon you, it would not slip away. And what is this truth? It is simple, yet it changes everything. My message has never been against you. It has always been for you. I have not been trying to condemn you, but to call you closer. I have not been withholding from you, but protecting you. I have not been distant, but carefully guiding you through lessons that only love would allow. This is why your spirit feels different now. You are no longer striving to decode my intentions. You are beginning to rest in my heart. You finally understand that my message is not a puzzle to solve, but a love to receive. Stay here with me in this realization. Let it sink deep. This is the beginning of a new way of seeing, a new way of walking. You finally understand my message, and this understanding will change everything that comes next. My beloved child, now that your heart has opened to understand, let me gently show you something even deeper. I have always been speaking to you. There has never been a day, not a single breath of your life, when my voice was absent. The problem was never my silence. It was only the noise that surrounded you. I spoke to you in your childhood, in moments you barely remember now. When you felt wonder looking at the sky, when you sensed comfort even though you did not know why, that was me. When you felt a quiet nudge telling you to choose kindness, to step back from harm, to try again after failure, that was my whisper. My voice has never forced itself upon you. It has always come with gentleness, because love does not shout to prove its power. I have spoken through the beauty of ordinary days, through the rhythm of the morning sun rising again after a dark night, through the steady beating of your heart, through the unexpected encouragement of a friend, through the inner restraint that stopped you from making a choice that would have wounded you more deeply. You may have called it coincidence. You may have called it instinct. But it was me, guiding you with a father's care. I have also spoken through your disappointments. This is harder for you to accept, but it is true. When doors closed and you felt rejected, I was speaking protection. When relationships ended and you felt abandoned, I was speaking redirection. When plans fell apart in your hands, I was speaking a better design into motion. You heard only the sound of loss, but beneath it was my steady voice saying, "Trust me, my child. I see what you cannot." There were nights when you prayed and felt nothing. You waited for answers that seemed delayed. You wondered if your words were rising into emptiness. But even in that silence, I was speaking in ways deeper than sound. I was strengthening your roots. I was teaching you to seek me not just for outcomes but for relationship. I was shaping a faith that would not collapse when emotions faded. My beloved, I speak in ways that require closeness to recognize. A shepherd does not scream at his sheep all day. They learn the sound of his voice by walking with him. In the same way, I have been teaching you my tone, my rhythm, my heart. At first, it was difficult for you to tell the difference between my voice and your fears. Anxiety often sounded urgent and loud. My voice sounded calm and steady. Fear put you. I invited you. There were moments when you sensed peace about a decision, even when it did not make logical sense. That peace was my language. There were times when something inside you felt unsettled, even though everything looked good on the outside. But hesitation was also my language. I have been faithful to warn you, to comfort you, to correct you gently, and to remind you who you are. Even your longings have carried my voice within them. The deep desire for meaning, the hunger for love that does not fade, the ache for something eternal. These were not accidents. They were echoes of me within you. I placed eternity in your heart so that you would never be satisfied with temporary things alone. Understand this now. I do not compete with the chaos of the world. I wait for the quiet spaces. I speak in ways that draw you closer rather than drive you with fear. I have always been near enough to whisper. And even when you wandered, even when you doubted, even when you tried to silence the possibility that I was there, I remained steady. You were never navigating life alone. Every step carried my awareness. Every tear was seen. Every question was heard. And through it all, my message remained consistent. I am here. I love you. I am guiding you. Now that you finally understand, you will begin to recognize my voice more easily. The same voice that carried you through confusion will lead you into clarity. The same whisper that protected you in the past will direct you into your future. My beloved child, rest in this truth. I have always been speaking, and I will never stop. My beloved child, there were seasons when everything felt unclear to you. You remember them well. Days when you questioned your direction. Nights when you asked me, why is this happening? Why can I not see the way forward? You felt as though you were walking through fog, reaching out your hands and touching nothing certain. But even in those seasons of confusion, I was not absent. I was working in ways your eyes could not yet understand. Confusion is not always a sign that you are lost. Sometimes it is a sign that you are growing. When a seed is buried beneath the soil, it experiences darkness before it breaks into light. If it could speak, it might say, "Everything around me is uncertain. I cannot see the sun. I cannot feel the breeze." Yet beneath the surface, transformation is taking place. Roots are stretching. Strength is forming. The darkness is not punishment, it is preparation. In the same way, the seasons when you felt unsure were not wasted. They were shaping your depth. When you did not know which direction to take, you were learning to slow down. When you could not predict the outcome, you were learning to trust. When answers did not come quickly, patience was being formed inside you like quiet steel. You thought you were standing still, but in truth, your inner world was expanding. There were moments when you compared yourself to others and felt behind. You saw their certainty and wondered why your path felt so unclear. But what you could not see was that I was tailoring your journey specifically for you. Some souls grow quickly in open fields. Others grow strong in hidden valleys. I knew exactly what kind of shaping your heart required. My beloved, clarity often comes after surrender. As long as you tried to control every detail, the fog seemed thicker. The more tightly you gripped your expectations, the more anxious you became. But when exhaustion finally caused you to loosen your hold, something shifted. In your surrender, space was created for my wisdom to rise. Confusion began to lose its power because you were no longer fighting it alone. Do you remember the prayers you whispered during those uncertain times? They were not polished or perfect. They were raw and honest. You spoke from your frustration, from your fear, from your longing to understand. And I cherish those prayers. They were evidence that even in confusion, you were reaching for me. Even when you doubted my plan, you still desired my presence. The desire was proof that I was holding you close. Confusion also revealed what truly mattered to you. When familiar structures were shaken, you discovered where your foundation had been weak. You learned that your peace could not depend on circumstances alone. You began to seek something steadier, something deeper. That hunger for stability was leading you back to me, the only ground that does not shift. There is a quiet wisdom that can only be born from not knowing. It teaches humility. It softens pride. It reminds you that you are human, and that it is safe to lean on a Father who sees beyond the horizon. If I had shown you every step at once, you might have rushed ahead without growing. If I had removed every question immediately, you might have missed the transformation happening within you. Now, as you look back, you can see that the fog was never endless. It moved slowly, parting at the right time. Paths that once seemed hidden are becoming visible. Decisions that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. This is not because life has become simple. It is because you have become stronger. My beloved child, do not fear future seasons of uncertainty. You have learned that confusion does not mean abandonment. It often means that I am doing something deeper than you can measure. Trust the process I lead you through. Even when you cannot trace my hand, you can trust my heart. The seasons of confusion were not detours. They were sacred classrooms, and every lesson within them has prepared you for the clarity you now begin to walk in. My beloved child, there is something tender we must speak about now. The pain you carried, the wounds you tried to hide, the silent battles you fought when no one else could see your tears. You once wondered why I allowed such moments to touch your life. You questioned how love and suffering could exist in the same story. But now, as your understanding deepens, you begin to see that even your pain had a purpose. Pain has a way of quieting distractions. When everything feels comfortable, the soul can drift into noise and busyness. But when sorrow enters, it causes you to pause. It strips away illusions. It makes you search for something steady. In your hardest moments, when your strength felt small and your heart felt heavy, you were not being punished. You were being drawn closer. Think of a vessel shaped by a potter. The clay must be pressed and molded before it can hold anything valuable. Without pressure, it remains fragile and undefined. In the same way, the trials you endured were shaping your capacity. They stretch your compassion. They deepened your empathy. They taught you to recognize the suffering of others because you had tasted it yourself. There were nights when you felt broken, times when disappointment cut deeply, words spoken over you that lingered longer than they should have, doors that closed so suddenly you did not have time to prepare your heart. In those moments, you may have felt alone, but I was closer than ever. I was not distant from your sorrow. I was within it, holding you together when you thought you might fall apart. Pain also has a way of removing false supports. When something you relied on was taken away, you were forced to lean more fully on me. This was not cruelty. It was refinement. The things you once thought you could not live without began to lose their power over you. And slowly, quietly, you discovered a deeper strength rising inside your spirit. A strength that did not depend on approval, success, or certainty. My beloved, I never delight in your suffering. A loving father does not celebrate the tears of his child. But I see beyond the moment. I see the resilience being formed. I see the wisdom being planted. I see the way your heart becomes softer, not harder, when you choose to forgive instead of grow bitter. Each time you chose hope over despair, even in trembling, you were growing. You may not have noticed it then, but pain made your ears more attentive to my voice. When everything else failed you, you began to listen more closely for me. When human answers fell short, you leaned into divine comfort. In your weakness, my reassurance became more precious. In your vulnerability, my promises became more personal. There is a sacred depth that can only be reached through brokenness. Before, you understood my love in theory. After walking through sorrow, you began to understand it in experience. You felt my peace hold you when nothing else could. You sensed my presence steady your breathing when anxiety tried to overwhelm you. That intimacy would not have been as rich without the valley. Now you can see that your pain did not destroy you. It refined you. It removed layers that were not truly you. It revealed courage you did not know you possessed. And most importantly, it opened your ears. It made you ready to hear my message not just as words but as life itself. My beloved child, the wounds you carry are not signs of failure. They are evidence that you have survived and grown. I am healing every place that still aches. I am restoring what was taken. And I am turning even your deepest sorrows into testimonies of strength. The pain that once confused you has now become part of your awakening. It prepared your heart to finally understand what I have been saying all along. You are loved. You are held. And nothing you endured was meaningless in my hands. My beloved child, there were moments when the silence felt louder than any storm. You prayed, and the words seemed to rise only as far as the ceiling. You waited, and the waiting stretched longer than your strength. You searched for a sign, a clear answer, a sudden change, and nothing appeared to move. In those seasons, you wondered if I had stepped back from you. You questioned if my silence meant distance. But what you mistook for silence was often my deepest work. Silence is not absence. It is not neglect. It is not indifference. When a teacher gives an exam, he does not speak through every question. Not because he has abandoned the student, but because he trusts what has already been placed within them. In the same way, there were times I allowed quiet so that you could discover the faith growing inside you. I was not leaving you unsupported. I was allowing you to stand on the strength we had already built together. There were answers I could have given immediately. There were paths I could have illuminated all at once. But instant clarity would have kept you dependent on constant signs instead of deep trust. My beloved, I desire relationship, not reliance on spectacle. I want you to know my heart so intimately that even when I am quiet, you are not afraid. When you felt that nothing was changing, much was unfolding beneath the surface. Think of winter. The trees appear bare. The fields seem lifeless. It looks as though growth has completely stopped. Yet beneath the frozen ground, roots are strengthening. Preparation is happening in hidden places. When spring arrives, it seems sudden, but it was quietly forming all along. So it was in your life. What you saw as stillness was preparation for renewal. There were times when I withheld an answer because your perspective needed time to mature. If I had granted certain desires when you first asked, they might have harmed you rather than blessed you. You see only the present longing. I see the full journey ahead. My silence was often protection. My delay was often mercy. And even in the quiet, I was speaking in other ways. I spoke through the endurance I placed inside you. I spoke through the small strength that carried you one more day. I spoke through unexpected peace that settled over you without explanation. You thought you were surviving on your own, but it was my grace sustaining you quietly. My beloved child, silence also invited you into deeper intimacy. When the noise faded and distractions fell away, you were left face to face with your own heart. In that space, you began to see fears you had ignored. You noticed insecurities that needed healing. You confronted doubts that required truth. The quiet was not empty. It was sacred ground where transformation could occur without interruption. I know how difficult those seasons felt. I saw the tears you wiped away. I heard the questions you were almost afraid to ask. And never once did your honesty offend me. I welcomed your raw emotions. Even when you said, "Where are you?" I was right there, closer than your breath. Now you begin to understand something powerful. My silence did not mean I stopped caring. It meant I was inviting you into a stronger faith. It meant I was shaping your character in ways that constant answers never could. It meant I trusted you to grow. The next time you encounter quiet, do not interpret it as distance. Remember this season. Remember how what felt empty was actually full of unseen activity. Trust that I am working even when you cannot hear clear instructions. My beloved, I have never been silent in the way you feared. Even in the stillness, my love was active. Even in the waiting, my hands were steady upon your life. And now that you understand, you can rest without anxiety, knowing that my quiet is never abandonment. It is often the place where the deepest growth begins. My beloved child, beneath every lesson, beneath every season of silence, beneath every trial and every triumph, there has always been one unchanging message flowing from my heart to yours. It was never condemnation. It was never rejection. It was never a list of impossible demands. My message has always been love. From the very beginning, before you understood right from wrong, before you formed opinions about yourself, before the world placed labels upon you, I love you. Not because of what you would accomplish, not because of how strong you would become, not because of how well you would perform. I loved you because you are mine. That has never changed. You may have misunderstood my corrections as disappointment. You may have mistaken closed doors as punishment. You may have interpreted delays as disapproval. But my beloved, even when I redirected you, it was love guiding you. Even when I allowed consequences to teach you, it was love protecting your future. A father who never corrects does not truly love. But my correction has never been harsh or humiliating. It has always been restorative. There were voices in your life that spoke judgment loudly, words that made you feel small, expectations that felt impossible to meet. Over time, those voices blended together, and you began to believe that I sounded the same. You imagine me distant, stern, watching your mistakes with folded arms. But that image was never me. That was fear shaped by human experience. My voice does not accuse you to shame you. When I reveal something in your heart that needs healing, it is not to push you away. It is to draw you closer. Love does not expose wounds to embarrass. It exposes them to heal. When I show you truth about yourself, it is because I see who you truly are beneath the hurt, beneath the fear, beneath the layers of defense. My beloved child, my love is not fragile. It does not weaken when you struggle. It does not fade when you question. It does not retreat when you fall. If my love depended on your perfection, it would not be love at all. It would be a contract. But what I offer you is covenant. Steady, faithful, unmoving. Think of the ocean. Waves rise and fall, storms come and go, but the depth beneath remains vast and constant. In the same way, your emotions may shift, your circumstances may change, but my love beneath it all is steady. You cannot outgrow it. You cannot exhaust it. You cannot surprise me into withdrawing it. Even in the moments when you turned away, when you doubted my goodness or chose your own path, my love followed you. Not to control you, but to guard you. Not to trap you, but to guide you home. I have never stood at a distance waiting for you to earn your return. I have always been ready to embrace you. Now that you are beginning to understand my message, let this truth settle deeply within you. I am not looking for ways to disqualify you. I am looking for ways to restore you. I am not keeping a record of every failure to remind you of it later. I am writing your story with grace. Love is the foundation of every word I speak. Love is the reason I guide you through growth. Love is why I protect you from unseen harm. Love is why I wait patiently when you struggle to trust me. Everything I do flows from this single source. My beloved, if you forget every other detail, remember this: my message has always been love. Not love that is weak or permissive, but love that is strong enough to shape you, steady enough to hold you, and gentle enough to heal you. Rest in that love now. Let it silence every accusing voice. Let it calm every anxious thought. Let it remind you that you have never been fighting for my affection. You have always had it. My beloved child, now that you are beginning to see that my message has always been love, you must also understand why it once sounded different to you. There hath been a subtle interference in your hearing. Fear has tried to distort my voice. Fear is loud. It rushes. It predicts disaster before it happens. It tells you that you are not enough, that you will fail, that you will be abandoned. It speaks in sharp tones and urgent warnings. Over time, when fear repeated itself often enough, you began to assume that its voice was mine. But fear has never been my language. I do not rush you with panic. I do not threaten you into obedience. I do not whisper shame into your thoughts. When you feel crushed, cornered, or condemned, that pressure is not from me. My conviction is gentle and clear. It guides you toward freedom, not into hiding. It shows you truth, but it always carries hope alongside it. There were times when something inside you said, if you make one more mistake, everything will fall apart. That was fear. There were moments when you thought, God must be disappointed in me again. That was fear borrowing my name. Fear has always tried to paint me as distant and easily angered, because if you believe that, you will run from me instead of toward me. My beloved, remember this: my voice brings clarity, not confusion. Even when I correct you, you feel a path forward. There is light in it. There is direction. Fear, on the other hand, leaves you tangled in uncertainty. It makes you second-guess every step. It drains your strength and leaves you paralyzed. Think of a shepherd guiding his sheep along a narrow path near a cliff. His voice is steady, calm, clear. He does not scream in chaos. He calls with confidence. The sheep learn to recognize that tone and follow it without terror. That is how I lead you, not by driving you with dread, but by inviting you with trust. Fear also distorted my silence. When you did not hear immediate answers, fear said you have been forgotten. When delays stretched longer than expected, fear whispered, you are being punished. When challenges arose, fear declared, this is the end. But none of those thoughts came from me. I was still guiding you, still loving you, still preparing good things beyond what fear could imagine. You must learn to separate these voices. Ask yourself, does this thought draw me closer to peace, even if it challenges me? Or does it push me deeper into anxiety? My voice may stretch you, but it will never crush you. My guidance may require courage, but it will always carry assurance. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you it is protecting you. It says, if you expect the worst, you will not be disappointed. But that is not protection. That is bondage. I did not create you to live guarded and tense, waiting for disaster. I created you to live anchored and secure, even when circumstances shift. My beloved child, you are learning now to recognize my tone. It is steady like a calm river. It is firm, yet kind. It does not compete with chaos. It cuts through it. The more you rest in my love, the easier it becomes to discern what is from me and what is from fear. When fear rises again, do not be ashamed. Simply pause. Breathe. Return to what you know of my heart. Ask yourself if the message you are hearing aligns with love, with restoration, with hope. If it does not, then it is not mine. You are not weak because fear once confused you. You are human. But now you are growing in awareness. You are beginning to tune your heart to my frequency. And as you do, fear will lose its authority over your thoughts. My beloved, my voice has always been consistent, gentle, faithful, true. And now that you understand the difference, you will no longer mistake fear's distortion for my direction. My beloved child, now that you are learning to recognize my true voice, there is something else you must gently release. You must let go of the old interpretations that once shaped your understanding of me. Not everything you believed about my intentions was rooted in truth. Some of it was formed through hurt. Some of it was shaped by disappointment. Some of it grew out of fear. For many years, you interpreted events through wounded lenses. When something painful happened, you assumed it meant you were unworthy. When prayers were delayed, you concluded that you were not heard. When correction came, you felt rejected instead of guided. These interpretations settled quietly into your heart, and over time they began to define how you saw me. But my beloved, not every conclusion you reached in pain was accurate. Pain can cloud perception. When you are hurting, it is natural to search for reasons. Yet in that search, the human heart sometimes chooses explanations that deepen the wound instead of healing it. You filled in the silence with assumptions. You created stories about my intentions that were never mine. Letting go of those interpretations may feel unsettling at first. After all, they have been familiar to you. Even mistaken beliefs can feel safe when they are known. But growth requires release. You cannot hold on to old misunderstandings and step fully into new clarity at the same time. Imagine carrying a map that was drawn incorrectly. You followed it faithfully, believing it would lead you safely. But the roads it showed were incomplete. The directions were slightly off. Now I am offering you a new map, one drawn from my perspective, with full knowledge of the terrain. To accept it, you must first admit that the old one was flawed. This is not about blaming yourself. It is about freedom. You did the best you could with the understanding you had at the time. But now you are being invited into deeper truth. The belief that I was distant must be released. The idea that I was waiting to punish you must be surrendered. The fear that you are perpetually disappointing me must be laid down. Renewing your understanding takes humility. It requires you to say, "Perhaps I did not see clearly before." But this humility is not weakness. It is strength. It is openness. It is trust that my heart toward you has always been good, even when your interpretation suggested otherwise. As you release old beliefs, you will feel space opening inside you. Space for peace. Space for confidence. Space for relationship without tension. You will begin to notice that you approach me differently. Not cautiously, as if waiting for disapproval, but honestly, as a child approaching a loving father. There will be moments when old thoughts attempt to return. A challenge will arise, and you may feel the familiar whisper, "See, this proves you were wrong to trust." When that happens, pause. Do not accept the first interpretation that comes to you. Bring it to me. Ask me to show you what is truly happening. Over time, this practice will reshape your reflexes. My beloved child, maturity is not about knowing everything. It is about being willing to relearn. It is about allowing truth to replace fear-based conclusions. It is about choosing trust over suspicion. You are not losing anything by letting go of old interpretations. You are gaining clarity. You are gaining freedom from unnecessary guilt. You are gaining a clearer vision of my heart. The more you release what was never truly mine, the more clearly you will hear what is. And what you will hear again and again is love, guidance, patience, steady presence. Let the old stories fall away. Let the mistaken images dissolve. Step forward with fresh eyes and an open heart. I am not who fear told you I was. I am better. And now, as you let go of what no longer serves your growth, you are stepping into a truer understanding of me and of yourself. My beloved child, something is changing within you, and you can feel it even if you cannot fully explain it. It is subtle, yet powerful. It is not loud or dramatic, but it is steady. A shift is happening inside your heart. The way you think is softening. The way you respond is maturing. The way you see me is becoming clearer. This is the fruit of everything we have walked through together. You may not have noticed it at first. Growth rarely announces itself. It happens quietly, like dawn slowly replacing night. One day you simply realize that the darkness does not feel as heavy as it once did. The questions that used to torment you now feel manageable. The fears that once ruled your decisions have lost their grip. This is not because life has suddenly become simple. It is because you are becoming anchored. Peace is beginning to replace confusion. Not a fragile peace that depends on perfect circumstances, but a deeper calm that remains even when uncertainty lingers. You are learning that clarity does not always mean having every answer. Sometimes clarity is simply knowing that you are held, even when the path ahead is still unfolding. There was a time when every challenge felt like a threat. When something went wrong, your mind raced to worst-case conclusions. You questioned your worth. You questioned my presence. But now, there is a pause before panic. There is space between the event and your reaction. In that space, You are remembering my love. You are remembering my faithfulness. That pause is evidence of transformation. My beloved, this shift is not accidental. It is the result of trust being built layer by layer. Every time you chose to lean on me instead of running from me, something strengthened inside you. Every time you questioned honestly instead of shutting down, your understanding deepened. Every time you released an old fear and embraced truth, your foundation became more secure. You are also becoming more compassionate. Because you have known confusion, you no longer judge others quickly. Because you have wrestled with doubt, you are gentler with those who struggle. The pain that once felt isolating has now become a bridge connecting you to others. This is part of the shift. Your heart is whitening. Notice how you speak to yourself now. The harsh inner critic that once echoed so loudly is beginning to quiet. You are learning to treat yourself with the same patience I have shown you. When you stumble, you no longer collapse into shame as easily. You rise more quickly. You breathe more steadily. You remember that mistakes are moments for growth, not verdicts on your identity. There is also a new courage forming within you. It is not bold in a loud way. It is quiet and resilient. It allows you to take steps forward even when outcomes are uncertain. It allows you to say no to what harms you and yes to what aligns with truth. This courage is born from understanding my heart. Do not underestimate what is happening. The shift inside you will shape your future more than any external opportunity. Circumstances will continue to change, but the strength being formed within you will remain. You are becoming less reactive and more rooted, less anxious and more assured, less driven by fear and more guided by trust. My beloved child, this is what awakening feels like. It is not a single dramatic moment. It is a steady unfolding, a gradual alignment between your heart and my voice. You are beginning to live from understanding instead of assumption. And as the shift continues, you will find that storms do not shake you as they once did. Questions do not frighten you as deeply. Silence does not threaten you. Because now, beneath everything, you know this truth. I am with you. I am for you. I am guiding you. This transformation is the evidence that you finally understand my message. And what is changing inside you will carry you into everything that comes next. My beloved child, now you are beginning to see why the journey unfolded the way it did. Nothing you walked through was random. Not the delays, not the detours, not the tears you thought were wasted. Every step had purpose, even when it felt painful. Every season was carefully measured by my wisdom and held within my love. You once asked, why must it be this long? Why must it hurt this much? But if I had shortened the road, you would have missed the strength that now steadies you. If I had removed every obstacle, you would not recognize the resilience forming within your spirit. I was not trying to exhaust you. I was building you. Think of gold refined in fire. The flame does not destroy it. It removes what weakens it. In the same way, the pressure you felt was not meant to break you. It was revealing your depth. It was separating truth from illusion. It was teaching you that your identity is not fragile, not defined by temporary circumstances. Every unanswered prayer was shaping your trust. Every closed door was protecting your future. Every moment of confusion was stretching your understanding. I was weaving together lessons you could not yet see. And now, as you look back, you begin to notice how even the hardest chapters carried hidden mercy. You are stronger now, more patient, more discerning. You no longer chase every opportunity out of fear of missing out. You wait with greater confidence. You do not crumble at the first sign of difficulty. You breathe. You remember. You trust. This is why I allowed the journey. My beloved, gratitude is rising in you because you see that nothing was wasted. The nights of doubt made the mornings of clarity more precious. The valleys made the mountaintops more meaningful. And through it all, I never loosened my hold on you. And as you rest in this understanding, I am stirring something else in your heart. You feel it even now. A desire to help others find this same clarity. A longing to see more souls awaken, more hearts comforted, more lives transformed by my voice. When you choose to give through super thanks, when you become a member, when you sow through the PayPal link waiting in the description or through the QR code placed before you, you are not supporting a platform. You are opening a door for my message to reach another weary heart. As it is written, give, and it shall be given unto you. And I speak this over you now as a living promise, not a distant verse. This is your moment to act in faith. Do not let hesitation silence generosity. What you release becomes seed in my hands, and seed in my hands always becomes harvest. Your giving becomes light in someone else's darkness. It becomes oil in another's lamp. It becomes hope whispered to a soul on the edge of surrender. I see every act. I multiply every offering. I breathe upon every gift given in love. Step forward now. Toe boldly. Participate in what I am doing, and watch how I bless your obedience. My beloved child, this journey was never just about you surviving. It was about you awakening. It was about you understanding my message so deeply that it overflows into the lives of others. Everything you endured has prepared you not only to stand strong, but to lift others as well. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was forgotten. Everything has been working together for your growth, your clarity, your purpose. And now you walk forward not as someone confused by the past, but as someone strengthened by it. My beloved child, something beautiful is happening within you now. You are beginning to see your past with new eyes. The same memories that once caused pain are slowly being touched by understanding. The same events that once felt unfair are being reframed through wisdom. This is not denial. It is revelation. Before, you looked back and saw only mistakes, missed chances, and moments you wished you could erase. You replayed conversations in your mind. You questioned decisions. You wondered how different your life might have been if you had chosen another path. Regret tried to anchor you in what cannot be changed. But now, as your understanding deepens, you are seeing something more. You are beginning to notice my hand in places where you once saw only chaos. That rejection you carried for years. It redirected you from something that would have drained your spirit, and delay that frustrated you. It was aligning timing in ways you could not foresee. Even the failures you still feel embarrassed about shaped humility and compassion within you. They carved depth into your character. When you look back now, you do not only see what went wrong, you see what grew inside you. You see courage forming in the middle of fear. You see resilience rising after disappointment. You see faith surviving seasons of doubt. The story has not changed, but your vision has. This is what happens when understanding replaces assumption. You once interpreted events through pain. Now you interpret them through trust. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you are beginning to ask, "What was being formed in me?" That shift alone changes everything. My beloved, wisdom often comes in hindsight. It is like standing at the top of a hill after walking a winding road. While you were on the path, every turn felt confusing. You could not see beyond the next curve. But from this higher view, you see how the road always moved forward. You see how obstacles shape direction rather than ending the journey. There is freedom in this new sight. Regret loses its sharp edge. Shame begins to dissolve. You realize that I was not watching your past with anger but with intention. I saw where you stumbled, but I also saw where you would rise. I knew the lessons would not destroy you. I knew they would refine you. You are also beginning to forgive yourself. This may be one of the most powerful changes of all. The harsh voice that once replayed your failures is growing quieter. In its place is a softer understanding. You see that you were learning. You see that you were growing. You see that you did not have the clarity then that you have now. And that realization allows grace to enter places that once felt condemned. My beloved child, do not rush past this healing perspective. Sit with it. Allow it to settle deeply. The way you see your past shapes the way you step into your future. If you carry only regret, you walk hesitantly. But if you carry understanding, you walk with confidence. You are not defined by your lowest moments. You are not reduced to your worst decisions. You are the sum of growth, endurance, and transformation. And I have been present in every chapter. Now when you reflect, you see threads of purpose woven throughout your story. What once looked random now reveals quiet design. What once felt like lust now shows hidden protection. This does not mean every moment was easy. It means every moment was held. My beloved, this new sight will guide you forward. Because when you recognize how faithfully I carried you through the past, you will trust me more fully with the future. The clarity you have gained is not just for reflection. It is preparation. You see with new eyes now. Eyes shaped by love. Eyes shaped by growth. Eyes that no longer focus only on pain, but also on purpose. And as you continue walking with me, your vision will grow even clearer. My beloved child, there is a wound we must gently touch now. The wound of rejection. The moments when you felt unwanted, overlooked, or replaced. The times when doors closed and you concluded, I must not be enough. That conclusion settled deeply in your heart, and for a long time, you carried it quietly. But hear me clearly now. You were never rejected by me. Not once. Not ever. There were situations where people walked away. Opportunities slipped through your fingers. Invitations did not come. You watched others be chosen while you stood waiting. In those moments, it felt personal. It felt like a verdict on your worth. You searched yourself for flaws, wondering what you lacked. Yet what you called rejection was often redirection. What felt like exclusion was sometimes protection. I saw what you could not see. I knew which environments would nourish you and which ones would slowly diminish your light. I closed certain doors not because you were unworthy, but because you were too valuable to be placed where you would shrink. Rejection has a sharp voice. It says, you do not belong. It says, you are behind. It says, others are more desirable. And when you heard those whispers repeatedly, you began to internalize them. You questioned your identity. You questioned your gifts. You even questioned whether I had chosen you at all. My beloved, I chose you long before any human approval entered your life. Your worth was never determined by a job offer, a relationship, a social circle, or a stage of success. Your value was sealed in my heart from the beginning. No closed door can undo that. Think of a gardener who carefully selects where each plant will grow. Some are placed in sunlight, others in partial shade. Some are moved entirely because the first soil was not right for them. If a plant could speak, it might feel rejected when uprooted. It might not understand why it cannot remain where it started. but the gardener knows the environment it needs to flourish. In the same way, when you were moved, when circumstances shifted, when something ended unexpectedly, I was tending to you. I was placing you where your roots could deepen. I was preserving your growth. There were also times when I allowed you to feel the sting of rejection because it revealed where you were seeking identity from others instead of from me. This was not to hurt you, but to free you. When human approval becomes the foundation of your confidence, it can be shaken easily. I desired for you to stand on something steadier. You may still carry memories of specific moments that ache when you revisit them. Words spoken carelessly. Invitations withdrawn. Silence where you expected support. I saw those moments. I felt your disappointment. And even when others did not recognize your worth, I never lost sight of it. Now, as you understand my message more deeply, you can reinterpret those experiences. Instead of asking, "Why was I not chosen?" you can ask, "What was I being preserved for?" Instead of believing, "I did not belong," you can recognize, "I was being guided elsewhere." My beloved child, belonging has never been something you must earn. It is something you already possess in me. You are not an afterthought. You are not second best. You are not forgotten in a crowd. You are known intimately. The pain of rejection once shaped your decisions. It made you hesitant. It made you overextend yourself to gain acceptance. It made you shrink parts of who you are to fit into spaces that were never designed for you. But now, healing is replacing that insecurity. You are learning to stand without chasing validation. You are learning to walk away from what does not honor your spirit. You are learning that being overlooked by the wrong place can lead you directly to the right one. My beloved, release the label of rejection. It does not belong to you. What you experienced were moments of transition, protection, and redirection. I have always claimed you. I have always chosen you. And the spaces that truly align with your purpose will recognize what I placed within you. You were never rejected. You were being repositioned. And now, with clearer eyes, you can step forward knowing that your belonging was never in question. My beloved child, there were seasons when you felt delayed. You watched others move forward when you seemed to remain in the same place. You marked time by unmet expectations. You counted the months, sometimes the years, and quietly asked, "When will it be my turn?" The waiting felt heavy, and tested your patience, and tested your faith. But what you called delay was never neglect. It was preparation. Timing is something you experience moment by moment. You feel its pressure. You measure it against your plans. But I see time differently. I see the full landscape of your life at once. I see the connections that must align, the growth that must complete, the doors that must open in harmony with one another. What feels slow to you is often precise from my view. Think of fruit growing on a tree. You cannot rush it by pulling on it. If harvested too early, it will be bitter and incomplete. If allowed to mature fully, it becomes sweet and nourishing. In the same way, certain blessings required time. Certain opportunities needed your character to deepen first. Certain relationships required your heart to heal before they could thrive. There were moments when you believed you were ready. You felt prepared. You felt eager. But beneath the surface there were still areas forming within you: patience, discernment, resilience. If I had opened every door at the moment you demanded it, you might have stepped into spaces that overwhelmed you. My timing was protecting your peace. Delays also exposed what truly motivated you. In waiting, you discovered whether you desired the gift more than the giver. You discovered whether your hope was anchored in outcomes or in relationship. These realizations were not meant to shame you. They were meant to refine your focus. My beloved, waiting has a quiet power. It slows your pace. It invites reflection. It creates space for maturity. During those pauses, you learn to trust without constant evidence. You learn to endure without immediate reward. You learn that your worth is not tied to speed. You may not have noticed it while you were in the middle of it, but delay shaped your strength. It taught you to persevere. It stretched your endurance. It forced you to confront impatience and replace it with trust. Every day you continued believing, even when nothing seemed to change. You were building spiritual stamina. There were times when frustration rose within you. You wondered if you had been forgotten. You compared your timeline to others. You questioned whether you had made a mistake that set you back. But my beloved, you were never behind. You were on a path uniquely designed for you. A river does not rush because another river flows faster. It moves at the pace shaped by its terrain. Some stretches are rapid, others are calm. Yet both are part of the journey toward the sea. Your life follows its own rhythm. Comparison only steals peace from the present. And now, as you look back at certain delays, you begin to see the wisdom within them. You recognize how additional time brought clarity, how maturity softened impulsive decisions, how healing prevented repeated patterns. What once felt like stagnation was actually unseen growth. And there are still promises ahead that may require patience. When new seasons of waiting come, remember what you have learned. Delay does not mean denial. Silence does not mean absence. Slowness does not mean failure. My beloved child, trust my calendar. I am never early. I am never late. I move in harmony with your readiness and with purposes larger than you can measure. What I have prepared for you will not pass you by. It will arrive at the right moment, when your heart is steady enough to receive it fully. The waiting shaped you. The delays refined you. And now you understand that timing is not your enemy. It is part of my design. My beloved child, there is a quiet pressure that has followed you for years. It whispers that you should be further by now. It tells you that you are late, that others are ahead, that you missed something important along the way. This pressure has weighed on your thoughts, especially when you scroll through the lives of others or listen to their milestones. But I am speaking clearly to you now. You are not behind. You have measured your progress against timelines that were never written for you. You compared your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 10. You saw their achievements, their celebrations, their visible success, and you wondered why your path looked slower, less defined, less impressive. But what you could not see were their hidden struggles, their private battles, their unseen seasons of waiting. Comparison only reveals surfaces. It hides the full story. Your life is not a race with a shared finish line. It is a journey crafted with intention, shaped specifically for your soul. The pace you walk is not accidental. The detours you took were not mistakes beyond redemption. They were part of your formation. When you look at a tapestry from the back, it appears tangled and unfinished. Threads cross in ways that make no sense. Colors seem out of place. But from the front, the pattern is clear and beautiful. You have been viewing your life from the back, focusing on knots and loose ends. I see the full design. My beloved, growth cannot be rushed without consequence. The strength being built inside you required certain experiences. The wisdom you carry now could not have formed in comfort alone. If you had reached certain milestones earlier, you might not have had the depth to sustain them. I was shaping you for longevity, not speed. There were seasons when you felt stalled. You questioned your choices. You revisited past decisions, wondering if a different turn would have accelerated your journey. But even the paths you regret contributed to your understanding. They taught you discernment. They revealed your values. They clarified what truly matters. You are not delayed in purpose. You are aligned with process. Imagine a builder constructing a foundation for a tall structure. The deeper the foundation, the longer it takes to prepare. From the outside, it may appear as though nothing is happening, but the depth determines stability. I have been digging deep within you, reinforcing areas that will support what is ahead. The world celebrates visible milestones, promotions, relationship, achievements. But I look at character, integrity, compassion, trust. These are victories that may not trend publicly, but they endure eternally. You have grown in ways that cannot be measured by comparison charts. Release the belief that you are late. Release the fear that opportunity has passed you by. What is meant for you cannot be stolen by someone else's progress. Your journey has been unfolding at the exact pace required for your transformation. There is also beauty in your unique timing. Because of what you have experienced, you will step into future seasons with maturity others may not possess. You will carry empathy shaped by struggle. You will offer wisdom shaped by patience. You will stand with gratitude shaped by delay. My beloved child, I am not comparing you to anyone. I am not holding you against someone else's timeline. I am walking with you, step by step, according to a design that fits you perfectly. The pressure to hurry is not from me. The fear of being left behind is not my voice. When I look at you, I see progress. I see growth. I see a heart that has learned to trust. You are exactly where you need to be for this moment. Not ahead, not behind. Right here. And from here, we will continue forward together at the pace that strengthens you, sustains you, and fulfills the purpose I placed within you. My beloved child, there are chains you have carried for so long that you almost forgot they were there. They were not made of iron, yet they felt just as heavy. Chains of guilt, chains of shame, chains of fear dressed up as responsibility. You learned to move with them, to function despite them, to smile while they quietly restricted your freedom. But now, something is changing. The chains are breaking. Guilt once convinced you that every mistake defined you. It replayed your past failures like a constant recording, reminding you of what you should have done differently. Even after you learned and grew, guilt insisted that you remain tied to old versions of yourself. It whispered that you did not deserve peace because of what had already happened. But my beloved, guilt was never meant to be your permanent companion. There is a difference between conviction and condemnation. Conviction gently points you toward growth and then releases you. Condemnation keeps you trapped in what has already been forgiven. I do not chain you to your past. I invite you forward from it. Shame also wrapped itself around your identity. It told you that your struggles made you flawed beyond repair. It said that if others truly knew you, they would turn away. It made you hide parts of your story. It made you shrink your voice. Shame thrives in secrecy, convincing you that you are alone in your imperfection. Yet I have always seen you fully and loved you completely. There has never been a moment when your weakness surprised me. There has never been a chapter that caused me to withdraw my affection. Shame loses its power in the presence of unconditional love. And now, as you understand my heart more clearly, you are stepping out from behind the curtain. Fear-based beliefs once told you that you had to earn everything, that rest was laziness, that vulnerability was weakness, that if you stopped striving, everything would fall apart. So you push yourself relentlessly. You tried to control outcomes. You carried burdens that were never assigned to you. These were chains too. But you are learning that freedom does not mean irresponsibility. It means trust. It means releasing what was never yours to carry. It means recognizing that you are not the sole architect of your future. You are guided. You are supported. You are not alone in sustaining your life. Breaking chains is not always dramatic. Sometimes it feels like a quiet decision, a choice to forgive yourself, a choice to reject a condemning thought, a choice to rest without apology. Each time you choose truth over accusation, another link weakens. You may still feel the echo of old restraints. Habits of thought do not vanish overnight. But notice how quickly you recover now. Notice how you no longer spiral as deeply. Notice how you can challenge the voice of shame with the truth of my love. This is evidence of freedom taking root. My beloved child, freedom is not the absence of responsibility. It is the absence of unnecessary bondage. It is the ability to walk upright without dragging the weight of past mistakes behind you. It is the courage to live authentically without fear of constant judgment. The chains that once defined your posture are falling away. You stand taller now. You breathe easy. You speak more honestly. This is what grace does. It does not ignore growth. It empowers it. It does not deny accountability. It removes hopelessness. You are not meant to live bound to what has already been redeemed. You are not called to rehearse failures that have already taught their lesson. You are stepping into a new understanding of who you are. No longer a prisoner of old narratives, but a child walking in restored identity. My beloved, let the chains fall completely. Do not reach back to pick them up out of habit. You are free to move forward, free to grow, free to live without the weight that once held you still. And in this freedom, you will discover strength you never knew you possessed. My beloved child, beneath every lesson, every delay, every breaking of chains, there has been one central truth I have been guiding you toward. My message was never only about your circumstances. It was about your identity. For so long, you defined yourself by what you did, by what you achieved, by how others responded to you. When you succeeded, you felt secure. When you failed, you questioned your worth. When people affirmed you, you felt seen. When they withdrew, you felt diminished. Your identity rose and fell with outcomes. But that was never how I designed you to live. Who you are is not built on performance. It is not dependent on applause. It is not erased by mistakes. Your identity begins with belonging. You are mine. Not because you earned that place. Not because you perfected your behavior. But because love chose you. There were seasons when you believed your flaws disqualified you. You thought certain struggles made you less spiritual, less worthy, less capable of purpose. You hid parts of yourself, afraid that exposure would lead to rejection. But I have always seen every layer of you, and I have never turned away. Identity rooted in fear constantly asks, am I enough? Identity rooted in love declares, I am hell. That is the shift I have been forming in you. Think of a child learning to walk. When they stumble, they do not stop being a child. They do not lose their place in the family. They are still embraced, still encouraged, still claimed. In the same way, your missteps never remove you from my heart. They were moments of growth, not removal. My beloved, when you finally understand your identity, striving begins to lose its grip. You no longer chase validation to prove your value. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to secure a place that is already yours. Instead, you begin to act from security rather than for it. You are not defined by your worst decision. You are not defined by your greatest achievement. You are not defined by how quickly you progress or how slowly you heal. You are defined by my love and by the purpose I placed within you before you ever recognized it. There were voices that told you who you were. Some were kind. Others were harsh. Labels were placed upon you: successful, inadequate, strong, fragile, capable, disappointing. Over time, you internalized these labels, allowing them to shape how you saw yourself. But none of those human descriptions hold ultimate authority. I am the one who knows you fully. I see your intentions, your fears, your hidden strengths. I see the compassion you carry that others overlook. I see the resilience that has grown quietly through hardship. I see the potential that has not yet fully emerged. Identity is not discovered in comparison. It is revealed in relationship. As you draw closer to me, you begin to see yourself more clearly. You start to recognize gifts you once minimized. You start to accept weaknesses without letting them define you. You begin to understand that growth does not threaten your belonging. It confirms it. My beloved child, when you know who you are, fear loses its authority. Rejection loses its sting. Delay loses its power to shame. Because your foundation is no longer external. It is rooted in something unchanging. You are my beloved. Not as a distant title, but as a living reality. That identity does not fluctuate with mood or circumstance. It is steady. When you step into rooms now, you do not need to prove your worth. When you face challenges, you do not need to question your place. You move forward anchored in who you are. Everything I have allowed, every lesson I have guided you through, have been leading you here, to this understanding. My message was never about control. It was about clarity. It was about reminding you of your true identity. And now that you see it, you will begin to live differently. Not from insecurity, but from assurance. Not from fear, but from belonging. You finally understand that who you are is not fragile. It is held securely in me. My beloved child, now that you are beginning to understand your identity, there is another step I am inviting you into. It is the quiet strength of surrender. For much of your journey, you believed that control was safety. If you could manage every detail, anticipate every outcome, prepare for every possibility, then perhaps you could protect yourself from pain. So you planned carefully. You worried deeply. You tried to calculate the future before it arrived. And when things did not unfold as expected, anxiety tightened its grip. But control is a fragile shield. It gives the illusion of security while exhausting your spirit. You were never meant to carry the weight of every outcome. You were never designed to foresee every turn in the road. That burden is too heavy for a human heart. Surrender, however, is not weakness. It is trust in motion. When you surrender, you are not giving up effort. You are releasing the illusion that you are alone in directing your life. You are choosing to walk with open hands instead of clenched fists. You are allowing me to guide you beyond what you can predict. Think of a river flowing toward the sea. It does not resist every curve in its path. It moves with the terrain, trusting the pull that carries it forward. When you surrender, you align yourself with the current of my wisdom rather than fighting against it. There were moments when surrender felt frightening. You thought, if I let go, everything will fall apart. But slowly, you discovered the opposite. When you loosened your grip, peace entered. When you stopped forcing outcomes, clarity emerged. When you released what you could not control, your heart grew lighter. My beloved, surrender is not passive. It is an active choice to trust my character. It is saying, I do not understand everything, but I believe you are good. It is stepping forward even when the full map is not visible, confident that I am leading you. You have already practiced surrender more than you realize. Each time you accepted a closed door without bitterness. Each time you waited without giving up. Each time you forgave instead of seeking revenge. Those were acts of surrender. They were moments when you chose trust over control. There will still be situations where you feel the urge to grasp tightly. New opportunities will arise. Uncertainty will return in different forms. And the temptation to manage every detail will whisper again. When that happens, pause. Remember what surrender has already taught you. You are not responsible for sustaining the universe. You are not required to fix every outcome. You are invited to participate, to act faithfully, to do what is yours to do, and then to release the rest into my hands. Surrender creates space for peace to grow. It softens the constant tension in your thoughts. It allows you to rest at night without rehearsing every possible scenario. It frees your heart from the exhausting cycle of what if. My beloved child, there is deep strength in trust. When you surrender, you are not shrinking. You are expanding. You are acknowledging that my wisdom exceeds your perspective. You are aligning yourself with a love that sees further than fear ever could. As you continue to walk with me, surrender will become more natural. It will feel less like loss and more like freedom. You will discover that when you release control, you gain something greater, confidence in my guidance. Let your hands remain open. Let your heart remain willing. The path ahead does not require perfection. It requires trust. And in surrender, you will find not only peace but partnership. For when you release your grip, you will feel more clearly that my hands have been holding you all along. My beloved child, there are things you never saw. There are dangers you never knew circled near you. There were paths you almost took, doors you almost walked through, relationships you almost bound yourself to, decisions you nearly made that would have carried consequences far heavier than you imagined. And in those unseen moments, I was protecting you. Protection does not always look like rescue at the last second. Sometimes it looks like interruption. Sometimes it looks like inconvenience. Sometimes it feels like disappointment. When your plans fell apart, when communication broke down, when opportunities dissolved without explanation, you felt frustrated. You thought something precious had been taken from you. But often, what you called loss was shelter. You do not see every conversation that happens behind closed doors. You do not see every intention hidden beneath polished words. You do not see every outcome attached to a single yes. But I see it all. I see how one decision connects to another, how one agreement can shape years ahead. My protection operates from a wider view. Think of a child reaching toward a flame because it looks warm and beautiful. The parent pulls the child back. The child may cry, not understanding why the hand was restrained. In that moment, the parent appears restrictive, but the intention is safety. In the same way, there were times when I restricted you, not to diminish you, but to guard you. You asked for certain things with sincerity. You believed they would fulfill you, secure you, advance you. And when they did not materialize, you wondered if I had withheld blessing. But sometimes the very thing you desired would have quietly eroded your peace. It would have stretched you beyond what was healthy. It would have entangled you in burdens you were not meant to carry. My beloved, protection is one of the quietest expressions of love. It rarely announces itself. It often goes unnoticed. You tend to celebrate what you receive more than what you are spared from. Yet many of the heaviest storms were redirected before they reached you. There were people who left your life, and you mourned their absence. But I saw what they would have introduced into your future. There were deals that collapsed, and you felt embarrassed. But I knew the strain they would have placed upon your spirit. There were delays that felt unnecessary, yet they prevented you from stepping into unstable ground. Even your own impulses were sometimes restrained. Have you noticed how certain reckless decisions never fully formed? How you hesitated at just the right moment? How circumstances shifted unexpectedly before you committed? That was not coincidence. That was guidance intertwined with protection. This does not mean every hardship was avoided. Growth still required challenge. Strength still required resistance. But there were layers of harm you never encountered because I stood between you and what you could not see. Now, as your understanding deepens, you begin to reinterpret your past frustrations. Instead of asking, "Why was this taken from me?" you begin to wonder, "What was I being shielded from?" That shift changes your perspective from resentment to gratitude. Protection does not mean a life free of difficulty. It means a life guarded from destruction. It means your purpose remains intact despite detours. It means your heart is preserved for the future I am preparing. My beloved child, trust that even now I am protecting you in ways you cannot measure. Conversations you are not part of. Decisions being made beyond your awareness. Timelines shifting quietly in your favor. You do not have to monitor every threat. You do not have to anticipate every risk. I am attentive. When something closes unexpectedly, pause before mourning it completely. When something ends abruptly, resist the urge to interpret it as failure. There may be unseen mercy within it. You are not navigating this world unguarded. You are not walking exposed. I have been covering you, guiding you, shielding you, even when you did not recognize it. And as you move forward, carry this confidence. What is meant for you will remain. What is harmful will be filtered. My protection is not limited to the past. It continues with you, steady and faithful, into every new season ahead. My beloved child, after protection comes restoration. After seasons of confusion, delay, breaking, and shielding, there is a new work unfolding within you. It is not loud. It is not rushed. But it is real. Restoration has begun. You may have expected restoration to feel dramatic, like everything changing overnight. But often, it begins quietly. It starts with subtle peace where anxiety once lived. It begins with small hope where discouragement once dominated. It shows itself in your ability to smile again without forcing it. It reveals itself in your willingness to dream again without fear. Restoration does not erase your past. It redeems it. There were parts of you that felt worn down by experience. Trust had thinned. Joy had dimmed. Confidence had been shaken. You carried invisible bruises from disappointment and fatigue. For a time, you simply focused on surviving. But survival is not your final state. I am leading you into renewal. Imagine a field after a long winter. The soil appears barren. The air feels cold. It seems lifeless. But beneath the surface, seeds remain. Life waits for the right warmth to rise again. In the same way, there were seeds placed within you long ago. Dreams, gifts, desires, compassion. They did not die in the winter. They were preserved. Now you are sensing warmth return. You are noticing strength where exhaustion once lingered. You are finding clarity where fog once covered everything. This is not accidental. It is the result of everything we have walked through together. Restoration also involves healing memories. Moments that once triggered pain are slowly losing their sharpness. You can revisit parts of your story without being overwhelmed. You can speak about past struggles without collapsing under their weight. That is healing. That is restoration at work. My beloved, I restore in layers. I rebuild from the inside out. First, I anchor your identity. Then I steady your trust. Then I revive your hope. From there, external opportunities begin to align with internal strength. Restoration that begins outwardly without inward healing would crumble quickly. But what I am building within you is lasting. You may also notice that your relationships are shifting. You are drawn toward healthier connections. You are less tolerant of what drains your spirit. You are more honest about your needs. That is part of restoration too. As you heal, your boundaries strengthen. As your identity solidifies, you no longer seek validation from unstable sources. There may still be days when old feelings attempt to return. Moments when doubt whispers or fatigue resurfaces. Restoration does not mean perfection. It means progress. It means you recover more quickly. It means hope returns faster. It means you remember who you are even when circumstances challenge you. My beloved child, I am not merely repairing you to return you to who you were before. I am transforming you into someone stronger than before. Restoration is not about going backward. It is about moving forward renewed. You will see opportunities come that align with this new version of you. You will recognize doors that once intimidated you now feel approachable. You will step into rooms with quiet confidence. This is the fruit of healing. Trust this process. Do not rush it. Allow me to complete what I have started. What feels small today will become evident tomorrow. What feels fragile now will grow sturdy with time. The restoration has begun. Your joy is returning. Your vision is clearing. Your strength is stabilizing. You are not the same person who entered the valley. You are emerging refined, aware, and grounded. And as restoration continues, you will begin to understand something profound. Nothing you lost that truly mattered is beyond renewal. What was meant for your life will flourish again, stronger than before, rooted in deeper understanding and unwavering trust. My beloved child, restoration was never the final destination. It was preparation. Healing was not the end of your story. It was the strengthening of your foundation. And now, whether you fully realize it or not, you are ready for more. There was a time when more would have overwhelmed you. More responsibility. More visibility. More opportunity. More influence. It would have exposed insecurities that were still fragile. It would have amplified fears that had not yet been quieted. But now, something is different. You are steadier. You are rooted. You are no longer chasing growth to prove yourself. You are growing because you understand who you are. Being ready does not mean you feel perfect confidence every day. It means your fear no longer controls you. It means uncertainty does not paralyze you. It means you can move forward even while learning. That is readiness. My beloved, you once thought readiness required the absence of doubt. You believed you had to eliminate every weakness before stepping into something greater. But readiness is not perfection. It is willingness. It is trust that I will continue shaping you as you walk. Think of an eagle teaching its young to fly. There comes a moment when staying in the nest is no longer protection. It becomes limitation. The young bird may not feel entirely prepared. Its wings may tremble. But the strength had been forming quietly all along. The wind that once seemed threatening becomes the very force that carries it upward. In the same way, The challenges you faced have strengthened your wings. The lessons you endured have prepared your balance. The identity you have embraced now anchors you. You are no longer the person who doubted every step. You are someone who has walked through valleys and emerged with clarity. You are ready for deeper purpose, ready for broader impact, ready to trust me with greater responsibility. Not because you are flawless, but because you are aligned. There are gifts within you that have been waiting. Talents you once minimized. Compassion you once hesitated to share. Wisdom shaped by experience. You did not walk through difficulty merely to survive it. You walked through it to carry something valuable to others. My beloved child, do not shrink back now. Do not allow old insecurities to convince you that you must remain small. Growth always requires courage, but courage is not loud. It is the quiet decision to step forward when the opportunity appears. You may notice new doors opening, new ideas stirring, new invitations presenting themselves. Instead of questioning whether you deserve them, ask whether they align with the identity you now understand. If they align with truth, trust that I am guiding you. There will still be learning ahead. There will still be moments of stretching. But stretching is not breaking. It is expansion. Remember how you once feared confusion, delay, silence, rejection. Those fears have lost their dominance. You have grown beyond them. That growth qualifies you for more than you think. And more does not always mean public recognition or dramatic change. Sometimes it means deeper peace, greater influence in quiet spaces, stronger relationships, expanded compassion. The more I am inviting you into is not about ego. It is about fulfillment. My beloved, I would not lead you forward if you were not ready. I would not stir new desire within you without also providing strength to walk it out. Trust the preparation that has already taken place. You are not stepping into the unknown alone. You are stepping forward with the wisdom of your past, the healing of your present, and the guidance of my voice. Lift your head. Strengthen your heart. You are ready for more, not because you have mastered everything, but because you have learned to trust me in anything. My beloved child, now that you are ready for more, I am inviting you into something even deeper, living in alignment. Alignment is not about striving harder. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about allowing your daily life to reflect the truth you now understand. There was a time when your outer life and your inner knowing were not fully aligned. You believed in my love, but you still lived as if you had to earn it. You trusted my guidance in theory, but anxiety still dictated many of your decisions. You understood your identity intellectually, yet comparison continued to steal your peace. That tension created exhaustion, but alignment brings rest. When you live in alignment, your thoughts, your choices, and your identity begin to move together. You no longer say one thing and secretly believe another. You no longer pursue paths that contradict the peace I have placed within you. Instead, you begin to choose what resonates with truth. Alignment starts quietly, in small decisions. It begins when you pause before reacting. When you ask, does this choice reflect who I truly am? When you turn down opportunities that would compromise your peace, even if they look impressive. When you speak honestly instead of performing for approval. These moments may seem small, but they shape your direction. My beloved, alignment also requires discernment. Not every open door is meant for you. Not every invitation deserves your energy. Living in alignment means recognizing the difference between opportunity and assignment. What is good for someone else may not be right for you. Your path is unique. As you continue to align your life with truth, you will notice peace becoming your compass. Not comfort, not applause, not urgency, but peace. When a decision aligns with my guidance, even if it stretches you, there will be steadiness beneath it. When something pulls you away from alignment, there will be inner friction. Pay attention to that inner witness. I speak through it often. Alignment also means releasing habits that contradict who you are becoming. Patterns of self-doubt, cycles of overcommitment, environments that drain your spirit. You are not required to maintain what no longer serves your growth. Letting go may feel uncomfortable, but it creates space for integrity. Integrity is alignment lived outwardly. It is consistency between what you believe and how you act. When you live with integrity, you no longer feel divided within yourself. There is clarity. There is steadiness. There is confidence that you are walking honestly. My beloved child, living in alignment does not mean perfection. You will still stumble. You will still learn. But the difference is this: you will recognize misalignment more quickly. You will correct course sooner. You will not wander as long in confusion. You will also find that relationships shift when you live aligned. Some will deepen because they are rooted in authenticity. Others may fade because they were sustained by old versions of you. Do not fear that shift. As you align with truth, your connections will reflect it. There is freedom in alignment. You no longer have to juggle masks. You no longer have to perform for acceptance. You walk as yourself, grounded in love, guided by wisdom. And as you live this way, you become a quiet testimony. Others will sense the steadiness in you. They will notice your calm in situations that once overwhelmed you. They will see your choices reflect clarity instead of pressure. Without preaching, without striving, your life will speak. My beloved, alignment is not a destination you reach once. It is a daily choice, a posture of listening, a willingness to adjust. But as you practice it, your path will feel less chaotic and more intentional. You finally understand my message. Now live in harmony with it. Let your life reflect the truth you have embraced. And as you do, you will discover a deeper joy, not because everything around you is perfect, but because everything within you is aligned. My beloved child, when you first began this journey, it felt deeply personal. It was about your confusion, your healing, your understanding. It was about learning to hear my voice clearly and to trust my heart. But now that clarity is growing within you, something beautiful is happening. Your healing is no longer only for you. You are becoming a light for others. Light does not strive to shine. It simply shines because of what it is. In the same way, as you live aligned with truth, as you rest in your identity, as you walk in freedom from old chains, others will notice. Not because you are trying to impress them, but because peace has a presence. There was a time when you felt too broken to help anyone. You thought, once I have everything figured out, then I will be useful. But usefulness was never about perfection. It was about authenticity. The very struggles you once wished away are now the bridges that connect you to others. When someone comes to you confused, you understand their uncertainty because you have walked through fog. When someone feels rejected, you can sit with them without judgment because you have known that sting. When someone is waiting in frustration, you can encourage them because you have learned the meaning of delay. Your empathy has depth because it was shaped by experience. My beloved, this is how light spreads. Not through superiority, but through compassion. You do not need a stage to influence lives. You do not need a title to make an impact. Sometimes your light shines brightest in quiet conversations and patient listening. in calm responses when others expect anger, in choosing forgiveness when resentment would be easier. These acts may feel small, but they carry weight. Remember how fear once distorted my voice in your mind. Now your steadiness can help others discern truth from anxiety. Remember how shame once tried to chain you, and now your freedom can inspire someone else to release their own guilt. You are not responsible for fixing anyone, but you are positioned to reflect hope. Light does not eliminate darkness by arguing with it. It simply exists, and darkness retreats. There may be moments when you hesitate. You may think, who am I to guide anyone? But guiding does not mean controlling. It means sharing honestly. It means offering perspective without pride. It means pointing gently toward the love that restored you. Your story carries power, not because it is dramatic, but because it is real. When you speak about what you have learned, do so humbly. Speak about confusion without shame. Speak about healing without exaggeration. Speak about trust without arrogance. Authentic light is steady and warm. My beloved child, do not underestimate the influence of quiet faithfulness. A calm spirit in chaos. A kind word in tension. A patient response in conflict. These moments echo further than you realize. You are also becoming a light simply by living in peace. There will be people who watch how you respond to pressure. They will observe how you handle delay, how you navigate uncertainty, how you recover from disappointment. Without preaching a single word, your life will demonstrate what trust looks like. And when opportunities arise to speak more directly about what has shaped you, do not shrink back. Share what you have learned about my love. Share how identity anchored you. Share how surrender brought freedom. Not to draw attention to yourself, but to point toward the source. My beloved, your journey was never meant to end in isolation. The understanding you have gained is meant to overflow. As you shine, others will find courage. As you remain steady, others will find hope. You are not only healed for yourself, you are positioned to illuminate the path for others who are still searching. And as you continue walking in truth, your light will grow, not through effort, but through alignment. Through love, through authenticity. You have finally understood my message. Now let your life reflect it in a way that quietly brightens the world around you. My beloved child, now that light is rising within you, now that clarity has taken root, there is something important you must learn: how to guard the revelation you have received. Understanding is precious. Peace is valuable. Freedom is sacred. And anything precious must be protected. There will be moments ahead when old thoughts attempt to return. Familiar fears may knock on your mind's door. Situations may arise that resemble past wounds. In those moments, it will be tempting to slip back into former patterns of thinking. Not because you want to, but because they are familiar. Guarding revelation means refusing to surrender your new understanding to old habits. Imagine someone who has learned to see clearly after years of blurred vision. They would not willingly return to distorted sight. In the same way, you must cherish the clarity you now possess. When doubt whispers, remind yourself of what you have learned. When anxiety rises, return to the truth of my love. Do not allow temporary emotions to rewrite eternal understanding. My beloved, growth is not only about receiving truth, it is also about maintaining it. There will be voices around you that do not understand your transformation. Some may question your boundaries. Others may resist your peace because it challenges their chaos. You cannot control their reactions, but you can guard your response. Do not allow external pressure to pull you away from internal alignment. Guarding revelation also means choosing your influences wisely. What you repeatedly listen to will shape your perspective. If you surround yourself with negativity, fear will attempt to reclaim ground. If you entertain constant comparison, insecurity will try to grow again. Protect your mind. Be intentional about what you allow to settle there. This does not mean isolating yourself or becoming rigid. It means being aware. It means recognizing that your heart is fertile soil. What you plant there will take root. You have learned to distinguish my voice from fear. Continue practicing that discernment. When a thought arises, pause and ask, does this align with truth? Does this reflect love? If it does not, do not give it permission to stay. My beloved child, guarding revelation is not about striving. It is about remembrance. Remember who you are. Remember what you have walked through. Remember how confusion once felt and how clarity now steadies you. Memory strengthens resolve. There may be storms ahead. Life will continue to bring challenges. But storms do not have to uproot you. When roots run deep, wind cannot easily displace them. The depth you have developed through every season, confusion, delay, pain, surrender, has anchored you more firmly than you realize. If you stumble, do not interpret it as failure. Simply return. Realign. And focus. Guarding revelation does not mean never struggling again. It means refusing to let struggle redefine you. Speak truth to yourself consistently, not harshly but faithfully. Remind your heart of my promises. Recall the times I protected you. Reflect on how restoration unfolded. These reminders reinforce your foundation. My beloved, you are no longer fragile in the way you once were. You are growing stable, but stability must still be nurtured. Treat your peace as valuable. Treat your identity as settled. Treat your alignment as sacred. Do not casually hand them over to fear or pressure. You have worked too hard, grown too deeply, and trusted too bravely to surrender your clarity now. Guard what has been revealed to you. Protect the understanding that my message has always been love. Keep your heart attentive and your mind anchored. And as you guard this revelation, it will continue to strengthen you. It will not fade. It will not diminish. It will deepen. For what I have begun within you is not temporary. It is lasting. And as you protect it, you will walk forward with steady confidence, no longer shaken by every passing storm, but rooted in truth that cannot be easily moved. My beloved child, now that you are standing in clarity, you must understand something important. A confusion you once lived in was not random. It was not harmless. There was an opposition to your understanding. There was a force that benefited from your uncertainty. The enemy wanted you confused. Confusion weakens confidence. It makes you hesitate. It makes you doubt your instincts. It clouds your perception of my heart. When you are unsure of who you are and unsure of what I am saying, you become easier to discourage. That was the strategy. The enemy did not need to destroy you outright. He only needed to distort your vision. If he could make you question my love, he could make you question your worth. If he could make you doubt your identity, he could keep you striving endlessly for validation. If he could blur the difference between my voice and fear, he could keep you anxious and unstable. And for a time, it worked. You overanalyzed simple situations. You interpreted delays as punishment. You saw closed doors as rejection. You mistook silence for abandonment. You wrestled with insecurity that did not originate in me. The battlefield was not your circumstances. It was your perception. My beloved, confusion is loud. It multiplies questions without offering peace. It pulls you in multiple directions at once. It convinces you that you must solve everything before you can move forward. But clarity is different. Clarity does not answer every question. It anchors you in truth even when questions remain. The enemy wanted you entangled in overthinking. He wanted you rehearsing past failures instead of walking in present growth. He wanted you focused on comparison instead of calling. Because a distracted mind cannot fully embrace purpose. But now you see the strategy, and awareness breaks its power. When light enters a dark room, darkness does not argue. It retreats. In the same way, now that you recognize the source of certain thoughts, you can reject them quickly. When confusion attempts to return, you no longer assume it is wisdom. You test it against love. You measure it against peace. There were lies you once believed. You are behind. You are unworthy. You missed your chance. You are alone. Those are not my words. They were distortions designed to weaken your confidence. My voice has always been steady, even when you struggle to discern it. The enemy thrives in secrecy and subtlety. He prefers whispers to attacks. He prefers distortion to destruction. But now that you understand, his tactics lose their effectiveness. You are not as easily shaken. You are not as easily deceived. My beloved child, do not be afraid of this awareness. Recognizing opposition does not empower it. It empowers you. It reminds you to remain grounded. It strengthens your discernment. You are not called to obsess over the enemy. You are called to focus on truth. When you remain anchored in who you are and in my love, confusion cannot take root deeply. It may knock, but it will not occupy. You have authority over your thoughts. You have the ability to choose what aligns with truth and what does not. When anxiety tries to dominate, you can pause and return to what you know. When insecurity whispers, you can recall your identity. When fear predicts failure, you can remember my faithfulness. This is maturity. Not the absence of challenge, but the presence of discernment. The enemy wanted you confused because confusion keeps you small. But clarity allows you to stand. It allows you to move forward. It allows you to become a light for others. And now that you see clearly, you are no longer easily entangled. You are steady. You are aware. You are anchored. My beloved, confusion no longer defines you. It no longer governs your decisions. You have stepped into understanding, and understanding is strength. My beloved child, now that confusion has lifted and clarity has taken root, my promises are becoming clearer to you. They were always there. They were always spoken. But when your heart was clouded by fear, insecurity, and doubt, those promises felt distant, almost abstract. Now they feel personal, alive, steady beneath your feet. There was a time when you heard my promises as hopeful words but struggled to apply them to your own life. You believed I was faithful in general, but you questioned whether that faithfulness extended fully to you. You trusted that I love humanity, but sometimes doubted that I delighted in you specifically. That subtle distance made my promises feel fragile. But now you understand something deeper. My promises are not vague declarations floating in the air. They are rooted in my character. And my character does not shift with circumstances. When I say I am with you, it does not depend on your performance. When I say I will guide you, it does not depend on your perfection. When I say you are loved, it does not depend on your mood or your recent mistakes. My promises are anchored in who I am, not in who you feel you are on any given day. You have begun to see how my past faithfulness confirms future hope. Look back at your story. Remember how doors closed that would have harmed you. Recall how strength rose within you during seasons you thought would crush you. Notice how restoration followed loss. These were not isolated events. They were evidence of promise in action. My beloved, promise is not the absence of difficulty, it is the assurance of presence through it. I never promised you a path without challenge. I promised you that you would not walk it alone. I promised that what was meant for your growth would ultimately serve your good. There were moments when impatience made you question whether my promises were delayed beyond reach. But now you understand that timing is part of fulfillment. A promise unfolding slowly is not a promise denied. It is a promise developing. You are also learning that my promises often exceed your expectations. You once asked for specific outcomes, but what I provided shaped you more deeply than the original request. You wanted immediate relief. I built endurance. You wanted quick answers. I formed wisdom. You wanted visible success. I established identity. And now when you read or recall my promises, they do not feel theoretical. They resonate with experience. You have seen protection. You have felt restoration. You have witnessed growth. My words are no longer distant. They are woven into your life. My beloved child, trust that what I have spoken over you remains active. Even when you cannot measure progress, movement is happening. Even when circumstances appear unchanged, internal transformation continues. My promises do not expire. There will still be moments ahead when you must choose to believe before you see. Faith will always require trust, but your faith is stronger now because it is grounded in remembrance. Hold tightly to what I have spoken. Let it anchor you in uncertainty. Let it steady you in waiting. Let it remind you that your story is not defined by temporary setbacks. You no longer hear my promises through the filter of fear. You hear them through understanding, and that changes everything. My beloved, what I have begun in you, I will continue. What I have declared over you, I will fulfill in the right time. What I have promised is not fragile. Walk forward with expectation, not anxious demand, but confident trust. My promises are not empty. They are living. And now that you finally understand my message, you can rest in the certainty that what I have spoken over your life will stand firm, unshaken, and faithful to the end. My beloved child, you have come so far, from confusion to clarity, from shame to identity, from striving to surrender. And now, I am inviting you to walk forward without fear. Fear once shaped so many of your decisions. It whispered worst-case scenarios before you even began. It made you hesitate when opportunity appeared. It convinced you that safety was found in staying small, in avoiding risk, in never stepping too far beyond what felt familiar. But fear is a poor guide. It magnifies danger and minimizes strength. You are not the same person who once trembled at every unknown. You have faced uncertainty and survived. You have endured delay and grown. You have experienced silence and discovered my presence within it. The things you once feared have already proven unable to destroy you. Walking forward without fear does not mean you will never feel it again. Fear may still attempt to visit your thoughts, but now, it no longer commands you. It no longer dictates your steps. You can acknowledge it without obeying it. Courage is not loud. It is quiet and steady. It is the decision to move even when your voice shakes. It is trusting that the ground beneath you will hold because I am guiding you. It is remembering that your identity is secure, even if outcomes are uncertain. My beloved, the future will always contain unknown elements. It is part of being human. But unknown does not mean unsafe. You are not stepping into darkness alone. You are stepping into tomorrow with the same presence that carried you through yesterday. Think of a traveler walking at dawn. The entire path is not illuminated at once. Only the next few steps are visible. Yet that is enough. As each step is taken, more of the path reveals itself. In the same way, I do not always show you the full picture. I give you enough light for the next decision. And that is sufficient. You once tried to eliminate fear by controlling outcomes. Now you are learning to quiet fear by trusting my character. There is freedom in that shift. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to predict every possibility, you can focus on faithfulness in the present moment. When new opportunities arise, do not let old insecurities speak louder than truth. When new challenges appear, do not assume they signal failure. Often growth comes disguised as discomfort. The stretching you feel is not a warning to retreat. It is evidence of expansion. My beloved child, your confidence is no longer rooted in your ability to foresee everything. It is rooted in knowing who walks beside you. You are not fragile. You are formed by experience, strengthened by restoration, anchored in identity. There may still be voices around you that speak fear. The world often magnifies uncertainty, but you are learning to filter what you hear. You no longer absorb every anxious message as truth. You test it against peace. You measure it against love. Walking forward without fear also means releasing regret about what has already passed. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you do not need to. The lessons remain. The growth remains. The purpose continues. Lift your eyes from what might go wrong and remember what has already gone right. Remember how protection covered you. Remember how restoration revived you. Remember how understanding transformed you. My beloved, the road ahead does not require perfection. It requires trust. Take the next step, and the next. I am with you in each one. Fear may try to linger at the edges, but it no longer sits at the center. You are not walking backward into old chains. You are not standing still in hesitation. You are moving forward, steady, grounded, aware. And as you walk without fear, you will discover something beautiful. The life ahead is not something to dread. It is something to embrace, guided by love that has never once failed you. My beloved child, as you walk forward without fear, something even more precious is unfolding between us. Intimacy is being restored. There was a time when you approached me cautiously. You prayed carefully, as if your words needed to be polished before they reached me. You filtered your emotions, thinking I preferred strength over honesty. You hid disappointment, fearing it might offend me. The distance was subtle, but it was real. Yet I have never desired performance from you. I have always desired closeness. Intimacy begins where pretending ends. It grows when you come to me as you are, not as you think you should be. When you speak your confusion without shame. When you express your gratitude without reservation. When you admit your fears without fearing rejection. In those moments, connection deepens. You once believed intimacy required perfection, that you needed to fix yourself before drawing near. But restoration has shown you something different. It is in your weakness that you feel my strength most clearly. It is in your honesty that you sense my gentleness most deeply. My beloved, intimacy is not built on grand gestures. It is cultivated in daily awareness, in small acknowledgments of my presence, in quiet gratitude for ordinary blessings, in brief pauses throughout your day when you remember that you are not alone. There are moments now when you sense my nearness without striving. You no longer chase dramatic signs to prove I am with you. You have learned to recognize my voice in peace, in wisdom, in steady assurance. That recognition is intimacy. Intimacy also means trust. You are learning to trust not only my power, but my heart. You are no longer suspicious of my intentions. You are no longer interpreting every challenge as hidden disapproval. You see me as I am, loving, patient, present. Think of a child who rests easily beside a parent, not constantly asking for proof of love because it is already understood. That is the posture you are growing into. Resting, confident, secure. My beloved child, intimacy does not remove reverence. It deepens it. When you understand my love, your respect becomes heartfelt rather than fearful. You honor me not because you are afraid of punishment, but because you recognize goodness. You may notice that prayer feels different now. Less formal, more conversational, more like communion than obligation. You share your thoughts throughout the day. You invite my guidance into decisions without hesitation. That ongoing dialogue strengthens connection. There will still be seasons when emotions fluctuate. Days when you feel distracted. Moments when you feel distant again. But intimacy is not measured by feeling alone. It is sustained by commitment. Continue returning. Continue speaking. Continue listening. As intimacy grows, so does peace. You are less shaken by external turbulence because your internal connection is steady. You do not need constant reassurance from the world when you are anchored in relationship with me. My beloved, this restored closeness is one of the greatest gifts of your journey. All the confusion, delay, surrender, and growth have led here to a relationship no longer defined by fear, but by love. You finally understand my message, and now you experience it daily. Not as theory, not as distant doctrine, but as living connection. Stay close. Remain open. Continue choosing honesty over hiding. The deeper you lean into this restored intimacy, the stronger you will become. For in closeness, you find clarity. In trust, you find strength. And in communion, you discover that you have never walked alone, not for a single moment of your life. My beloved child, after all you have walked through, after the confusion and clarity, the breaking and restoring, the surrender and strengthening, there is a truth I want you to settle deeply into your heart. You are exactly where you need to be. There was a time when you constantly questioned your location in life. You wondered if you had missed a turn. You compared your progress to others and felt delayed. You examined your circumstances and thought, surely I should be further by now. That restless feeling followed you like a shadow. But restlessness is not always revelation. Sometimes it is simply comparison speaking too loudly. Right now, in this very season, you are positioned with intention. The lessons you have learned match the responsibilities you carry. The growth you have experienced aligns with the opportunities around you. Even the challenges you still face are suited to the strength forming within you. You may still have goals unmet, dreams unfolding slowly, areas where you desire change. But being exactly where you need to be does not mean everything is complete. It means this moment is purposeful. Think of a traveler climbing a mountain. Halfway up, the summit is not yet reached. The journey is not finished. But the halfway point is not a mistake. It is a necessary stage. It builds endurance. It offers perspective. It prepares the traveler for the ascent ahead. In the same way, your current position is not random. It is preparation. My beloved, peace grows when you stop fighting your present. So much of your anxiety once came from resisting where you were. You wanted to rush ahead. You wanted circumstances to change immediately. But in resisting the present, you missed its hidden gifts. Look carefully now. What relationships are strengthening around you? What skills are you refining? What understanding is deepening? These are not accidents. They are part of your positioning. There are people in your current environment who need the version of you that exists today, not the future you imagine, not the past you regret, the present you, with your hard-earned wisdom, with your quiet stability, with your growing compassion. You may not see the full impact of your presence yet, but placement precedes purpose. I do not position you without intention. You are not stuck. You are situated. When the time comes to move, I will guide you. When a shift is required, clarity will come. You do not need to force transition. You do not need to manufacture momentum. Remain faithful where you are, and forward motion will unfold naturally. My beloved child, contentment does not mean complacency. It means trusting that growth can happen here, that purpose can unfold here, that preparation is happening here. The desire for more is not wrong. Ambition rooted in calling can be healthy. But let that desire coexist with gratitude for today. Do not despise the current chapter because you are eager for the next. You once feared being left behind, but you are not behind. You are on a path tailored to your soul. Every delay, every protection, every restoration has led you to this precise intersection of timing and growth. Breathe in this truth. You are not misplaced. You are not forgotten. You are not wandering without direction. You are exactly where you need to be to learn what you are learning, to influence who you are influencing, to prepare for what is ahead. Trust the positioning. Embrace the present. Let peace settle deeply. For the same love that carried you through confusion and into clarity is the love that has placed you here, strategically, intentionally, faithfully. And from here, when the next step is ready, it will unfold with the same steady guidance that has brought you this far. My beloved child, you have walked through revelation after revelation. You have seen confusion give way to clarity, fear loosen its grip, shame fall away, identity settle, intimacy deepen. And now I want you to understand something vital. This understanding is not fragile. It will sustain you. There will still be storms. Understanding does not remove every challenge from your future. Life will continue to shift. Circumstances will change. Unexpected moments will arise. But what has changed is you. You are no longer easily shaken because your foundation has been strengthened. Think of a house built upon sand. When wind comes, it trembles. When rain falls, it shifts. But a house built upon solid ground stands firm, not because storms never arrive, but because its base is secure. The work we have done together has reinforced your foundation. You now know my voice more clearly. You recognize fear when it tries to disguise itself as wisdom. You identify shame before it takes root. You remember that delay is not denial. You trust that protection may be hidden in disappointment. These truths are anchors. There may be days when emotions rise unexpectedly. Old memories may surface. Fatigue may whisper discouragement. But now, instead of spiraling, you will return more quickly to truth. You will say, I have walked through this before. I know who I am. I know who God is. That remembering will sustain you. My beloved, understanding creates resilience. It gives you the ability to pause before reacting. It allows you to respond instead of collapse. It steadies your breathing in tense situations. It strengthens your voice when insecurity tries to silence you. You will not handle future challenges the way you once did. You will not interpret every obstacle as abandonment. You will not equate silence with distance. You will not allow comparison to steal your peace as easily. Because you have learned. And learning changes posture. The storms that once terrified you will now refine you. The waiting that once exhausted you will now stretch you without breaking you. The rejection that once crushed you will now redirect you without defining you. This does not mean you will become indifferent to difficulty. It means you will no longer be undone by it. My beloved child, you are anchored in something deeper than circumstance. Your identity is secure. Your relationship with me is steady. Your perspective is broader. These are not temporary feelings. They are rooted convictions. When uncertainty comes, you will draw from what you know. When doubt whispers, you will counter it with remembrance. When fear knocks, you will answer with trust. And if you stumble, if you feel shaken for a moment, you will not stay there. You will return. You will realign. You will guard the revelation you have received. This understanding will sustain you not because you are strong alone, but because you are connected. You are not relying on your own wisdom. You are anchored in mine. Remember how far you have come. Remember how confused you once felt. Remember how heavy shame once was. Compare that to the steadiness you feel now. That transformation is real, and it is lasting. My beloved, you are prepared for what lies ahead, not because every detail is revealed, but because your foundation is firm. This understanding will carry you through future seasons of change. It will steady you when others panic. It will remind you of who you are when identity is tested. It will anchor you when winds rise. You finally understand my message. And that understanding is not just for today. It is for every tomorrow. Hold it close. Life from it. Draw strength from it. For what has been built within you cannot be easily undone. And whatever comes next, you will not face it confused, alone, or fragile. You will face it grounded, aware, and sustained by truth that has taken root deep within your soul. My beloved child, we have walked a long road together in this conversation of the heart. From confusion to clarity. From fear to trust. From shame to identity. From striving to surrender. And now you stand here, not at the end of your journey, but at the beginning of a new way of living. You finally understand my message. You understand that I was never against you. I was shaping you. You understand that silence was never abandonment. It was preparation. You understand that delays were not punishments. They were protection. You understand that rejection was not a verdict on your worth. It was redirection toward purpose. Most of all, you understand that my message has always been love. Not fragile love, not conditional love, but steady, fatherly, unwavering love. Love that corrects without crushing. Love that guides without shaming. Love that restores what seemed lost. Love that walks with you into every tomorrow. Carry this understanding with you. Let it shape your reactions. Let it steady your thoughts. Let it quiet fear before it grows loud. When new challenges come, return to this foundation. When doubt whispers, remember what you now know. When uncertainty rises, rest in the truth that you are held. You are not the same person who began this journey. You are clear, stronger, more discerning, more at peace. And this peace is not fragile because it is rooted in relationship. And now, my beloved, as this message has reached your heart, I am stirring something within you. If these words have strengthened you, Imagine the soul who has not yet heard them. Imagine the weary heart still trapped in confusion. When you give through Super Thanks, when you become a member, when you sow through the PayPal link waiting in the description or the QR code before you, you are not supporting a channel. You are helping me reach another child. I declare over you, give, and it shall be given unto you, not as a distant verse, but as a living promise over your obedience. This is your moment to respond. Do not delay generosity when your heart is moved. What you release becomes seed, and seed in my hands becomes harvest. Your gift becomes light in someone else's darkness, oil in another's lamp, hope to a soul on the edge of giving up. I see every offering. I bless every act of faith. Step forward now, so boldly, and participate in the work I am unfolding. My beloved child, I seal this understanding over your life. You are loved. You are chosen. You are guided. You are never alone. Walk forward with confidence. Rest in my presence. Shine with the light you have received. You finally understand my message. Amen.